Florida real estate moves fast, and new construction is springing up to meet demand. But behind the actual lumber and concrete, the administrative rules governing how you build, buy, and rent now operate under a new set of liability standards. In 2026, Florida rolled out a sweeping legislative package, specifically House Bills 8M3, 927, and 399. These laws rewrote the state's approach to local development review, building permits, and zoning restrictions. The general perception is that these updates mean faster flips, cheaper builds, and the removal of bureaucratic red tape. But the right column reveals the reality. The state relocated legal liability from the city's zoning office directly onto the investor's shoulders. Relying on the headlines without reading the fine print will lead to a specific kind of financial pain. Assuming you don't need a permit when you actually do can stall a project for months and drain your capital. The question is simple. Do you accelerate your project timeline to save money up front, or is there a hidden catch that will cost you more at closing? To answer that, we have to look at the exact mechanics of the new laws. We'll break down the sub-$7,500 exemption, the one-year expiring permit rule, the new sequence for HOA approvals, and the threat of rental fraud. Less upfront government bureaucracy does not equate to zero legal risk. It simply changes the type of due diligence you have to perform. Let's look at the actual mechanics of House Bill 803. The law states that certain work under $7,500 may be entirely exempt from local building permits. For flippers, the operational benefit is obvious. If doing rapid pre-listing repairs, you don't wait weeks for inspectors to approve aesthetic updates. This decision tree flowchart shows the sub-$7,500 exemption test. The exemption disappears if the project touches electrical, plumbing, structural components, or flood hazard areas. It is also voided if you artificially split renovations. Hit any condition, and full municipal permitting is legally required. If you get this wrong, the downstream consequences hit hard. Unpermitted structural or electrical work triggers red flags during a buyer's inspection, complicates the appraisal, and severely threatens your resale value. Utilizing the $7,500 exemption successfully means you act as your own compliance officer. You have to prove the work is exempt before a hammer ever swings. That same bill introduces a strict timeline for stalled renovations. House Bill 803 mandates a one-year expiration period for certain single-family building permits. The intent here is practical. It provides a definitive timeline to clear administrative limbo, forcing inactive municipal permits off the books, so local governments aren't tracking decade-old half-finished bathrooms. But there is a hidden danger for buyers. If you take over a distressed property without checking the timeline, you might inherit open permits that are hours from expiring. Your primary defense is a municipal lien search. You have to pull this document prior to closing to uncover outstanding inspections and work that was completed but never officially closed out. Acquiring a property with newly expired permits can completely freeze your operation. You won't be able to secure a refinance, clear title, or pull new permits for future renovations until the old ones are resolved. Buying distressed property now requires aggressive municipal history checks. Failing to spot an open file makes that inherited, expired permit your immediate financial liability. Let's shift to deed-restricted communities. For investors focused on infill housing or major renovations, entitlement timelines dictate your carrying costs. This illustrates the classic circular delay problem. The HOA demands approved city permits before architectural review, while the city refuses permits without HOA approval. House Bill 803 breaks this gridlock, officially prohibiting HOAs from requiring a permit as a prerequisite for construction reviews. House Bill 927 accelerates timelines even further. It requires certain municipalities to allow pre-approved private professionals to handle pre-application reviews for local development, effectively bypassing the initial municipal queue. But bypassing those gatekeepers early on means you lose their guidance. You must understand comprehensive plans, local zoning restrictions, and leasing guidelines yourself. A streamlined private review process does not guarantee that final zoning or compliance approvals will actually be granted when the city ultimately audits the project. The legal bottlenecks have been removed to save you time, but the trade-off is that you are now solely responsible for ensuring your project aligns perfectly with all local restrictions. For landlords, the threat profile is also shifting. Operators face individuals who secure rental units using completely fabricated identities and forged financial documents. Pending legislation, specifically House Bill 1293, addresses this directly by creating the official legal concept of fraudulent entry into a residential dwelling unit. If finalized, the law aims to make fraudulent entry a direct basis for taking action against a tenant under Florida's residential landlord-tenant statute. The financial impact of a fake applicant is devastating. It creates an immediate loss of rent, leads to severe property damage, forces a lengthy, expensive eviction just to regain your own unit. Waiting for this bill to be signed is a mistake. Landlords must audit their identity verification practices, application protocols, and lease documents immediately. A potential fraud statute is just a reactionary tool used after the damage is done. Rigorous upfront tenant screening is your only true defense against rental scams. Florida's 2026 updates are powerful tools for operational efficiency, but they are highly dangerous for lazy investors who rely on assumptions instead of verification. Because liability shifted, the matrix chart outlines your due diligence playbook. The buy box audits purchase contracts, hidden permits, and municipal lien searches. The build box reviews land surveys, future zoning, and HOA limits. The lease box overhauls condo documents, rental restrictions, and fraud protocols. The most expensive mistake an investor makes is treating legal review as something that only happens after a dispute begins. By then, the margins are already gone. Integrate attorney-informed legal review into your standard operating procedures. Do it prior to closing, before starting construction, and certainly before signing a lease. In a deregulated real estate environment, the state expects you to police yourself. Rigorous due diligence is your final safeguard against expensive administrative errors.